Hello, 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 everyone. We are live. Thanks for joining us for today's webinar brought to you by Get the Referral. We are just getting started, so we're going to let everybody start trickling in for just a moment. But I do want to say welcome and thank you for joining us for today's webinar. It is all about how to maximize your marketing budget and make the most out of it in now into 2023. So we've got Anna Covert, Principal from Covert Communication, here with us today, and our very own Chief Revenue Officer, Vic Rotelli, as well. Welcome back and welcome back. So again, my name is Michaela. I am the Content Marketing Manager here at GTR and your host today. We are super excited, but before we get started with our topic, I want to do a little bit of house cleaning with you guys, let you know that first and foremost, you want to stay until the very end. We have got a special offer from both us here at GTR as well as Anna from Covert Communication for our webinar attendees. That includes our new prospective customers as well as our very valued existing customers as well. So please stay till the end. We've got so much information. You're going to love everything we have for you, but also that offer is pretty amazing. So stick around. In addition, we will be recording this, so no worries there. But remember, the offer is going to be given at the end, and it may be a limited time only or a limited number. So beware of that if you're waiting on the replay. However, that replay will be available after the webinar. We'll send it to you via email, and we do welcome you to share it with your colleagues and let us know if you have any questions after the fact as well. And questions. If you do have any questions during the webinar, please feel free to enter them in the chat box. I'm going to be behind the scenes fielding questions, answering ones that I can immediately, but most will probably be held until the end of the webinar so that Vic and Anna can answer them for you. So without further ado, I will introduce our wonderful guest today, Anna Covert, Principal and owner of Covert Communications, a marketing agency that caters to solar and other home services in addition to real estate and other fantastic businesses just like ours. And of course, we have our Chief Revenue Officer, Vic Rotelli, here with us today. I am going to hand it over to Vic. I'm super excited about what you've got to share with us. Vic, over to you.
Thank you, Michaela. Thank you so much for the introduction. I think the number one question before we get started for Anna is that a true background or is that a screensaver?
This is my true background. That's Diamond Head back there in Waikiki. So I'm one of the lucky ones here in Hawaii.
Lucky you. You're in Hawaii. That is awesome. Well, we don't have anything to complain about. We're in San Diego, so it's not so bad for us either. But let's get to it. So Michaela did mention that you have your agency that serves quite a broad spectrum of a customer base. But what percentage of your customer base is actually in home services?
So about 70% of all of our clients are in the solar space, and we deal with clients coast to coast. We have dealers in many states. About 30% make up the rest, which are retailers. We have healthcare. We work in education, real estate. There hasn't been many industries I haven't worked in.
Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about the home services component of it, okay? And this is a topic that I think a lot of people, have challenges with, but how do these home services businesses typically break up their marketing budget, between buying leads, buying ads on Google, door knocking, and etc.?
That's a really good question, and I think it really kind of comes down to, especially with solar dealers, there's two distinct different types. There's what we call EPCs or installers, which have very different marketing strategies than non-installers who just sell solar. For EPCs, we typically see the breakout around 50% referral self-generated, 15% buying leads from places like Clean Energy, Solar Reviews, and the like. Online search is pretty small, around 5%, but I see that growing. And then other marketing, door knocking, direct mail, radio, event sponsorships probably make up the other 30%. And then for those who just sell solar and have someone else install for them, again, probably about 50% is self-generated or referral, and then 30% is buying leads, and then 20% online search, which is Google search, Microsoft, and other different types of, Facebook ads, things like that.
Very cool. So then when you look at those budgets, and I know this could be like a hard generalization to make, but if you can, on an average, like what do you think a monthly marketing budget looks like, for your client base that they set aside, to market their business?
It's all about what their goals they have. I have clients who have ranges of budgets starting at $500 a month, going all the way up to $50,000. So it really depends on how large the organization is, what their demand needs are, and then what services they implement.
Excellent. That is very interesting. I'm going to pop in here for just a second because on that note, we have a poll for our audience. So I'm going to put that up for us. I am curious, as I'm sure all of you are, where do you plan to allocate your marketing budget in Q4? So if you are on this webinar, take a moment to give us your reply. We would love to hear from you. Give us a couple of minutes to let everybody get their answers in and see some votes are coming in and see what our responses are. Excellent. 58% have voted so far. We're getting up there. Let's see. The suspense is killing me. All right.
Don't forget to vote.
Don't forget to vote. I know everyone's probably voted out after Tuesday, but let's see. All right. 84% have voted. Any last minute votes that you want to get in before I close this poll and see what we're looking at? All right, I think that's it. Let's close this out and see what our responses are. Take a look. Wow. It looks like 41% are going towards paid online advertising, which is really interesting. Buying leads, 29%, 24% in referral marketing. That's pretty interesting. Awesome.
Yeah, very interesting data.
Awesome.
Yeah,
all
which
right.
leads me right into the next question. So we talked about like budget allocation and we talked about, where they're spending money at, but let's talk a little bit about what are some of the best practices? Like what are some of the things you've seen work successfully in the last year or so?
Yeah, it's a great question. So some of our biggest wins have been, we'll talk about the solar space in particular, have been providing companies with tools to help them convert paid traffic at a higher rate. So one of those would be we created a solar calculator plugin for WordPress. And when we see dealers using that tool, they're getting a 500 or more higher percentage of conversion on their site, which means the traffic they're getting are filling out forms or using this tool, which is high intent data. Other things we're doing are helping dealers create high intent sales funnels to help nurture the leads all the way through the purchase process. That basically uses a combination of real-time calendar bookings, texts, emails, and even RVMs, which are ringless voicemails, to make sure that no lead is mismanaged. We have custom workflows in Job Nimbus, Zoho, Go High Level, Salesforce, and we're seeing great results when implemented. Dealers see around 20% higher lead to close rates than those who do not implement, unique sales funnels. And a couple other things we make that have been very successful have been, we call them the good bots. We're now creating bots that help companies, basically, find data at scale without having to have a salesperson do it. And then one of the most important things on that note is like protecting yourself from what we call bad bots. There is almost half of all paid search in Google, Microsoft, and Facebook are being clicked on by those platforms. So Google is clicking on their own ads to inflate their revenue. So it's very important to use bot protection on any paid search.
Yeah, that's great. We utilize that as well. We have some bad bot protection because we don't want to pay for traffic that's not going to convert just to make the publishers rich. But give me an example of like what a good bot application would be. Like how would you use that for like one of our clients?
Sure. Well, I'll give you an example of one that I built for myself. So for my solar calculator plugin, I have a bot that goes to Google My Business and it searches for solar companies in different states. Then the bot will take that URL, the name of the company and the URL, and it'll put into a live Google sheet for me. Then it visits that company and looks to see if it's a WordPress website or not. If it is, it looks for the contact form and then fills it out on my behalf, introducing the solar company to my bot, or my plugin with an offer, and then pushes submit. So you can also use them to just scrape data, and that can help, grow B2B. If you have salespeople that need to be cold calling, the bot could go out and collect information for you to help that process versus buying data. And they work 24/7, and they're very inexpensive to build.
Yeah, and we use a bot with you guys as well, since we are one of your clients, and it works wonders. We have like thousands of leads that we were able to get, because most of the time, Google My Business is verified, right? Yeah. So let's talk about a little bit about, you mentioned like high intent funnels, right?
Mhm.
So why is it just my website alone doesn't work as efficiently as having like, the approach of having like high intent funnels?
Well, I think that the problem is that salespeople are not all equal, and and people can get busy. And we know now that leads are very valuable and expensive. And when you are receiving them, if they're not, what's important is to make sure that we know that this lead's being touched. It's called the speed to lead. People might have heard of. How fast are you reaching them? The faster, the higher chance you're going to get them to sit with you and have the ability to provide an estimate. And so, texting, immediate calendar bookings are critical to make sure that the salesman doesn't forget to follow up, or after they, maybe they met with someone and shared a proposal, and now they're busy with new proposals, and now that lead's not getting nurtured accordingly. But we know, I'll tell you, I've actually sold solar here in Hawaii, and it has taken, at times, me 6 months to sell someone a system. And I did that because I was constantly following up with them with text every week, ringless voicemails, and things like that to make sure that they, I stay top of mind.
Awesome. And one of the things that was feedback from the poll was 41% of the people that responded are looking to allocate their budget towards paid media. So have you seen any trends in the last, like, let's say 3 to 6 months or so?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you the lead quality and paid leads has declined, and the costs are increasing rapidly. So more companies are seeking ways to self-generate with paid search to get a higher conversion rate out of the leads they have acquired. The need to leverage the power of word of mouth and referral networks has never been higher. And our clients are seeing the greatest success with platforms like, just like GTR, to help increase performance at a lower cost per lead, sit, and sale. In comparison to those who don't use referral networks or high intent funnels, their cost per acquisition can be up at 2,500 or more. When our clients who get the referral, we see that cost per lead is much lower, like around 750 or even less.
Got you. So then one of the things you mentioned is you've seen that cost per lead go up. So is there anything that you attribute that to?
Oh, for sure. The more online competition is the primary driver that increased cost for paid lead and search. And we expect that to continue to increase now that the ITT has stepped up for the next 10 years. There's going to be a lot more companies jumping in the market and that also puts the customer at risk. And it's a shady industry, pun intended. And there are more than 1 million orphaned homeowners in America right now. And that means that either their panel and inverter manufacturers no longer in business, their installers no longer in business, or both. So, the more competition that comes online, more people need more leads, and they become degraded and more expensive.
That makes sense. Kind of like supply and demand.
Yes.
With that being said, like, what piece of advice would you give like a home service company right now in regards to getting the most out of their marketing spend, in this competitive landscape?
Yeah, I would say the most important thing is to not put all your eggs in one basket. Just because Solar Reviews did great last quarter doesn't mean it's going to continue. And you want to make sure that the companies you work with are transparent and that you understand the type of reporting that you're receiving from them. It's trustworthy. You definitely want to ask the right questions and set expectations for what we call attribution. Who's going to get credit for the lead? Because especially with online, it's not just one thing, right? We talk about our website as like the mothership of communication. We're driving traffic to it from all different types of sources. And then, we use remarketing to re-engage that customer, but it could take several times from before the customer actually comes back and completes a form or picks up the phone and calls you. So along that journey, I'll give you an example. Let's say we have a Google ad campaign. Someone searches for a solar company near them. They click on the ad, they go to our website, they do not fill out a form. Now they leave. We're remarketing to them. We're cyber stalking them. They may click on our ad, come back to the website, not fill out a form. Now they see us on social media. They finally fill out a form. Well, every traditional reporting in the world will show that you had 3 conversions. Google will take credit over 30-day attribution, Criteo or whatever remarketing tool will take credit, and Facebook will take credit. So if you're a business owner and you're looking at reports, you might be like, oh, wow, we're doing great. We had 3 leads, but you didn't have 3 leads. You had 1 lead and all 3 of these media sources contributed to that. So it's very important when later determining where we need more leads, where are we going to put our money, it needs to be fairly allocated to the correct tools to make sure you're getting the bang for your buck.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. That's a good point. And I also think that it's worthwhile saying that, you know, who's really good at it is Amazon. Like if you go look at a pair of shoes on Amazon, you don't buy them. Next thing you know, you're on Facebook or Google, and here's those shoes hitting you again because
Right.
they know that like you're a potential buyer. So, and I know a lot of times like when you tell people like we're cyber stalking you, there's actually nothing wrong with that. It's like normal business practice to make sure that somebody that's aware of you follows through and converts into a lead.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, they have this idea of privacy and it's a violation, but I'll tell you, when you go online, this is a marketing network that you're on, and I think it just makes it, there's less, it reduces the noise, because I don't want to see a power tool ad, and you don't want to see a baby diaper ad, and that just increases the waste for the consumer of your time and that company's money when they're spending. So I think you want to see tailored communication to you that you care about, and that is what remarketing and some of these lookalike campaigns can do, put you in touch with products that you care more about.
Yep. And then you mentioned something that's very interesting, which is the attribution model. And you should ask your marketing company the right questions when you're trying to evaluate which marketing company you should choose. Like, what are some of those questions?
Oh, that's a great question. So you should definitely ask them how they're tracking leads and make sure you're all on the same page as to what a conversion can mean, because that can mean a lot of different things. Some companies will track a conversion as a call lasting over 60 seconds. That doesn't mean that it was a qualified lead. It could have been a solicitor, could have been internal business, could have been lots of things. We actually listen to all of our client calls and we'll truly qualify them so that we know for sure if it was a lead or not. Similarly, there are a lot of companies who will track just a visit to a page or time spent on your website as a conversion. But that to me is not a conversion. For me, a conversion is someone filled out a form or engaged in a chat, things that are closer to the dealer making money versus like a soft conversion, which can help us determine what kind of traffic we're getting and is it valuable and it might convert later. Typically in the solar industry, it takes about 28 to 32 days from when people first start searching for solar, or this applies it for roofing as well. They'll go in, depending on the size of the market, how familiar people are with what you're selling in that market, they might look at 5 to 6 different companies. Then they leave, and we see the lion's share of traffic return within 20 to 32 days to pick 2 to 3 of those companies to ask for a quote from. So it's very important to stay top of mind all along the way and make sure that you are aligned on what you're tracking.
Yeah, and I think that you can almost classify some things as like events and other ones as conversions, right? So like your conversion is much more meaningful, that something that's an event that people can say, well, that's a conversion, but it's really not. That's an event that happened, right?
Exactly.
So my next question is, it's in the air, everybody's kind of talking about it, is the economy, right? I'm going to throw it out there, the E word, right? What's happening in the economy today, I think that's part of conversations everywhere. So has that come into play with the companies you represent? And if it has, how so?
That's a tough one because it's being reported and the overall confidence index right now is 5 points below the pandemic average. So that's not great, especially with continuous momentum. But at the same time, consumer confidence is up a few points from this past August. So it seems like things are slowly moving in the right direction. It may be too early to tell. We're not seeing a lot of economy-driven behavior, more kind of like back to normal. As if, for instance, last year, Q4, we saw kind of no slowdown for the solar industry, which has always kind of been a seasonally slow time. People are distracted by holiday shopping and traveling. and it's darker and colder, and they're not, it's not top of mind as much. Last year we didn't see a slowdown, but this year I see it returning to pre-pandemic levels. But that's more just, I think, regular consumer behavior and not necessarily economic driven. We'll have to find out and see.
So maybe like going back to like business as usual as it was prior to the pandemic.
I think so.
Excellent. This is fascinating to me personally, because as a consumer myself, I find the economic status of our country important. I'd love to know what our audience thinks, so I'm going to interject here for a moment and enter another poll for us to ask our audience what their opinion is. So let me push that out now and give everybody a few minutes to answer this question. How do you predict the news about the economy will affect your business in 2023? Give everybody a couple of minutes to get their answers in there and see what everybody thinks. Love it. 52% have voted so far. I think you guys are doing awesome. Thank you for staying engaged. I hope you guys are finding value here. Excellent. 71%. Get those votes in. Let's see what you think. We'd love to hear your opinion. Give it another second here and see. All right, I'm going to get this closed. Last chance to get your votes in if you haven't already. I'm going to get this closed for us and see. What do we think? All right. It looks like most people think it's going to be neutral. Half of the people think it's going to be neutral, 31% negatively, and we've got some positive thinkers out there. I love that. 19% think it's going to be positive. Amazing. All right, I will let you guys get back to it. Thank you for indulging me in the interruption.
Very cool. So then my next question is, because the initial poll talked about 41% of our guests are thinking about advertising online, relating to that, looking into the future, what are some of the things that you can possibly predict for the upcoming year regarding to like marketing online?
Sure. As more companies shift funds online, I think it's really important to maintain a marketing mix and set expectations. Just because you spent X on Google Ads last year and had this result does not necessarily mean that if you spend the same amount or even more that you'll experience the same results. It's really important to understand the data so that you can pivot quickly. Companies that are not carefully watching their digital spend can find themselves in a pickle when Google, Microsoft, or Facebook, or any of the media exchanges change bid strategies, which they do frequently. So you cannot set and forget like you could in the past without risking dangerous exposure and unfavorable results. And it could be too late by the time you realize you spent $20,000 you didn't want to, in a couple of days. I've seen it happen.
Yeah, no, definitely. You have to keep your pulse on some of the trends. Going off topic a little bit now and asking you a question that just popped in my mind is, what are your feelings about like reputation management and reviews for companies?
Oh, well, I think referrals and reviews are like one of the most effective ways to drive increased leads. And I will say that, the customer is very savvy now, and they care deeply about peer reviews, and they're looking, they want that confidence, and that's how they're finding it. In the old way of communication before the internet, it was very one way. The media spoke to the customer. If you wanted to say something back, you had to write a letter, and that was never really public. With the internet, the opportunity to engage with customers in a two-way dialogue has really given consumers much more confidence and made everyone more honest overall. So I think as an industry, home services don't ask for their first review soon enough. For instance, here I am, I've sold someone solar, and they're really happy with their decision that they made to buy from Sunspear, for instance. We should be asking for that first review on the solar sales experience right away before they have a chance to have not that they will have a negative installation experience, but we don't know what might happen with inventory shortages or permits and things that are out of our control. So I like to ask for the review right away. And then after the installation or this roof is complete, that's when you decide if you want to ask for a second review. But it's very, very important.
Yeah, I agree. And as a whole, like all of us now, are so conditioned to like review companies before we make a purchasing decision. What about, yeah, we've worked with you for about a year now, and we share some customers. How do you see referrals fitting into the marketing mix?
I think the referrals are becoming one of the most important marketing pieces of the marketing mix because of the the low cost for the applications. For instance, the only time we don't see it effective is when dealers don't make it part of their sales process. You need to be marketing the app, you need to be asking actively for referrals, and it needs to be part of the whole sales experience all the way through. And when we see dealers do that, that becomes their number one way to generate leads, and they have a very high conversion rate.
Yeah, and I think it shares some similarities with reviews. You have to ask early and often for referrals. It's not at a specific time when you did a great job. It could be at any point. Like ask for a referral. You'll never know what what is there for you to optimize on. So it's the same thing with reviews. So that's very cool.
Or even
I
asking
think
first referral. I think that's an opportunity. When you're meeting with someone and they might be on the fence if they're going to go with your company or another, say, hey, you know what, download the app. You can become your own first referral, and when you choose us, then you'll receive this payback. So then they can, really experience it all the way through, from start to finish.
Cool. No, that's great. So I think that's all the questions that I have for you, and we'll turn it over to Michaela and see if there's any questions that have popped up from the audience.
Yes. First of all, thank you both. Thank you, Anna. That was so much fantastic information. I'm sure that our attendees are jotting down notes feverishly. I do want to let you guys know that we do have a couple of handouts for you guys. So if you go to the handout section, you can download. There is some details on what we have coming very shortly, offer from Anna, as well as GTR. There's some details on Anna's offer in one of those handouts, as well as kind of a Cliff Notes version of today's webinar. We've got the questions and answers in download form for you to take with you and thoroughly digest and make sure you don't miss a beat. So without further ado, though, I want to get to some of those questions that we have. We didn't have a whole lot, but I do have a couple of questions for Anna and then one for, I think, Vic. I'll give you this, the last one. Anna, first, you mentioned partnering with companies that are transparent. What kind of information or data should I look for when partnering with a local business?
That's a great question. I'll say that the thing to do is to look for companies who are going to screen share with you and show you live reports to the data. You're going to see the AdWords account. You're going to see your remarketing dashboard and analytics, because then they can't be fabricated. You might see a pretty report from someone, but is that data trustworthy? Is it real? Or has it been, manipulated to make them look better? Another thing is you always want to ask about commissions. It's common to work with agencies or whatnot that do work with commission. I'm very against commissions. I think that they're antiquated and makes anything that you're recommending should be because you're going to make more money for the client, not because you're getting a cut. But ask those questions and make sure that the recommendations you're getting are because it's in your best interest and not your partners.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Okay, I have another question for you, Anna. What would you recommend a newer roofing company with about an $8,000 monthly marketing budget focus on for the rest of Q4?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, I always think that it's very important for any kind of company to really understand what is a conversion worth to them, and that might not be equal, right? So a roof in this area, they're bigger roofs, maybe they're a richer neighborhood, that a lead there might be worth something very different than a lead on a townhome or what it might be. So identify first, what are your goals? What are you willing to spend to acquire one new customer? And then you want to make a combination of search marketing, remarketing, of course, which is that cyber stalking, very important. And I would do some targeted direct mail.
Excellent. And just to clarify, these are the types of marketing strategies and things that you could help with at your company, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
Just making sure, because some of these things may be new to our audience. So, Okay, I have one more question, and I think I'm going to hand this one over to you, Vic, because it's within the realm of our expertise. I understand that referrals need to be the focus of 2023. I think Anna confirmed that. But how do customer reviews fit in with referrals in the marketing strategy? And this is a great question because I know you touched on this a little bit talking about reviews, but how do they go together with referrals?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think we kind of covered that a little bit earlier, but to go into more details, they feed off of one another, right? So like we're launching a new review portal, and with our software, you can ask for a review at a certain stage of a job being completed, which, you know, if somebody's leaving you a positive review, they're more apt to give you a referral, right? So having a strategy that encompasses both of those is really important. And the other thing is really to think about, you know, what's happening today, like in a consumer's mindset. It used to be like the old purchasing funnel was like awareness, consideration, and purchase. Now it's like awareness, consideration, research. So you want to make sure you're there when they're looking up, you know, you and your competitors. You want to make sure you have, you know, favorable review ratings, and then purchase. And that's used to be like the end of the dance. That was basically when you went home. Now the party keeps going. Like after the purchase, there's advocacy, which is like all those customers are now your advocates. You paid so much and you did such a good job. You invested so much in them that they can give you more, right? And that's what we really have uncovered, that gold mine of like having a strategy around that, turning your happy customers into advocates to give you referrals, which by nature are warmer leads. And what sales rep doesn't love warmer leads? I know every one of our sales rep does, with a higher propensity to close and all that stuff. So yeah, having a strategy around both of them go together like peanut butter and jelly for sure.
Love it. Excellent. And just a quick little follow-up question. I know when we talked with Anna, she mentioned asking for a review at different stages. Do you recommend the same kind of philosophy for referrals as well?
I do. Yeah, you should ask at any given point. Like if you're sitting at the table and you know you haven't closed the deal yet, and you know you don't know if it's going to close or not going to close, what's wrong with saying, hey, do you know 3 to 5 people that are in the market right now? And if you do, we have this great referral incentives, and you know you can earn money, and we'd love to have you as a client. But if not, ask for a referral. Ask for a referral there. Ask for a referral. You know, when the permits are ready, ask for a referral. When installation begins, you know, you do it anytime.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you for that. Excellent answers. I think that's all the questions that we have for today, but I have loved this session. It has given me a lot of information that I didn't have before, so thank you for that. We do want to tell you, all the attendees that have stayed with us until then, that we appreciate your time. We have some really cool offers for you now that we want to share with you. I'm going to hand it over to Anna because I know she has a special offer for our webinar attendees. So I will let you tell us a little bit about that, Anna.
Yeah, so we have some retainer packages that well, not just retainer packages, but all of our typical, I have published rates on our website. If you go there and you'll see in the materials that Michaela's going to send you that we've slashed the prices on each one of those service level offerings. So if you need a new website, if you want to do search campaigns or remarketing, direct mail, we do PR, logo redevelopment, you know, basically any kind of service you might need, CRMs, all of those are available and at special rates for you.
Excellent. Excellent. So yes, go ahead and check out that handout, and we also have a link I'm going to be dropping into the chat box shortly, letting you see everything that you need to know about that offer, as well as the one that we have for you here at GTR. Vic, I'm going to let you share the special offer that we have for our guests today.
Love it. So I know that some of our guests are current customers, and some of our guests are prospects that are evaluating GTR as an option. So we have something for both of you guys. We love our current customers, so we're launching a brand new review portal, which plays really well with like asking for reviews, managing reviews, marketing to get more reviews, to look at all your reviews. So Our new customers, we'd like to give that to you for 6 months for free if you sign up with us. For our existing customers, we'd like to give that to you for 50% off. And both of them equate to the same amount of discount. It's the equivalent of a $1,200 discount, whether you're a new customer or an existing customer. So just like that, I think that Verizon ad, nobody gets preferential treatment. We love you both, and we have an offer for both of you.
I think that's AT&T actually.
That's who we align with. We love our existing customers, and we love to have new customers. So there's something in it for both of you guys.
We absolutely do. We absolutely do. So I have put that link in the chat box. Please feel free to check that offer out. Don't forget to grab your handouts as well. That'll have some more details. And again, all of the nitty gritty, great stuff that we shared with you here today. Thank you so much, Anna, for joining us today. It has been our pleasure to have you as our guest. It has been wonderful to hear all of your insight. I'm going to take that with me personally as the content marketing manager into 2023. And Vic, also always a pleasure to have you on our webinars, sharing your expertise with us as well. And to our attendees, thank you for sticking around with us today. I hope you enjoyed it. We hope that we provided value to you, and that you take us up on our offer. Demo, check out what Anna's got to offer. Really good stuff. Thank you guys again. Have a great day. We will see you next time.